What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. Today it's going to be the Meta 4-4-1-1, a tactic that scores over 5.6 goals a match and won the treble with Manchester United. You're going to love it. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and over 80% have not turned on the notification bell, so be sure to do it. Turn it on because you are never going to miss another upload. And if you enjoy rebuilds, you want to see more of me, you can come over and check out the rebuild channel above in the top right. Let's get into the results. First up is going to be Bodø Glimt, obviously over in the Norwegian division. Now, obviously, we are testing with four very different teams today, and all the seasons are at different times. I've had to go back a season, which obviously is from 2023, where we did simulate an entire season instead of a part season, if that makes any sense. And as you can see, 20 wins, 8 draws, and 2 losses are going to make up the stats. And if we go over to the actual stats, you can see these are the stats for this season. So don't worry, we're not scoring just 51 goals. That is going to be the stats for this season. Now, overall, so far, we are going to be scoring a total of 5.67 goals per game. So a really good set of stat lines to get things going. That is definitely has to be said. A really positive start to the season. Only conceding 0.33, a great pass completion, and a very, very good tackle win ratio. I'm going to also point out, because we didn't win it, but we got all the way to the Europa Conference League final last season and only lost on penalties. Though we are so early on into this season, we've still come out and put on some great displays already. A 9-0 win here in one of the first games of the season, and I'm going to showcase every single goal because I want you to see where the goals come from and what you can expect when playing with this tactic. It scores so many goals in so many different areas, and honestly is a ton of fun to play with, and you can see the sheer quality of the goals being scored. It is absolutely ridiculous. It's a mixture of individual play and team play, a lot of stuff coming down the left and the right hand side of the field, and that is one of the real key strengths of this tactic, is the ability to bring it in from the left and on the right, back into the middle quite quickly as well. And again, if you've got my set pieces, make sure you've got them because they break the game as well. Absolutely incredible set pieces. And not just that, individual quality again, once being shown goal after goal, a set piece now as I just talk about the set pieces, and one last goal now in the 82nd minute, to wrap up a 9-0 win. You don't beat it. Also got a test with FC Rapid in the Romanian First League. I don't think I've ever gone over to Romania to actually test a tactic, so I thought, why not? We pick up nearly 100% win rates, 29 wins and 1 draw, 0 losses across the entire stage. And if we go over to the stats, 170 goals being scored, 968 shots for, defensively incredibly solid, and the most dribbles being made. It really was a masterclass season. And if we go to that data hub, we can go and see 4.25 goals per game, only 0.5 conceded, 24.2 shots per match, a really good pass completion, and a very tidy tackle win ratio. And it's not all that we won. We also go on and we are going to win this Romanian Cup 6-1 against FCSB. A very, very, very strong performance. And as you can see, we are already into the next stage of this situation, but we have got one player here who absolutely took over. Over to the main talking point, Manchester United, the best team in the world. We all know that. A great team where we come out and we win the Premier Division with Rashford and Bruno joint second top goal scorers, 3 players in the average rating, one of them now obviously going to the Serie A side. We've got Mason Mount and Anthony, 27 and 18 assists, Onana picking up the most clean sheets, and as you can see, we're going to dominate the stat lines we want. The most goals, defensively, a real brick wall, which is quite surprising considering we are Manchester United, and possession-wise, not too bad either, but again, not the main focus point. The focus point behind this is a real strong defensive display and counter-attacking, shots on goal, goals being scored. That is exactly what I am here for. Now, the data hub in the league is still going to look very good at 3.53, only 0.5 conceded, over 21.6 shots a match, a great pass completion, and a very good tackle win ratio as well of 80.04. Now, it's not the only thing we won. Of course it isn't. We are going to go and win the FA Cup here in 5-1 fashion over Brentford, and the Carabao Cup 2-1 in extra time against Villa. The only thing we didn't win is the Champions League, where we lose on penalties against PSG. Nearly the perfect season. And when it comes to facing top opposition, we didn't struggle one bit. We play Liverpool here in a home game in the league, where we got off to a great start inside of 34 minutes, and from that point onwards, the confidence was running through our veins. Garnacho goes again to get his second of the game. A great performance from him. A great bit of press there into Garnacho, into Mount. He's going to go alone, and rockets it past Becker. Nothing they can do. And time for one more now. Good pressure from Bruno into Højlund, into Garnacho, and pluck that one out. Lastly, the big challenger is going to be Wigan. As you can see, we'll look at the league stats very shortly, but we are going to win the Sky Bet League 1 and the Bristol Street Motors Trophy against Wrexham 4-2. No easy team, Wrexham, I will say, but over in that Sky Bet League 1, we're going to dominate not only the league table, but the goals, the average rating, the assists, assists, and the most clean sheets. Again, a real strong core display from the Wigan lads. 147 goals. Defensively, we were an absolute brick wall. Really, really good scenes. Again, a lot of dribbles being made. Over 1,000 shots on this occasion. Possession-wise, we are actually going to be quite up there for what I was expecting. I never expect possession with a system like this because it is meant to be defensively solid, counter-attack. That is meant to be the sort of play style. So possession does come at a shock, but 58%, I'm not going to turn down. But now going over to the data hub lastly to break down these set of stats, 3.2 goals a game, 0.52 conceded, over 21.9 shots a match, a really good pass completion, and a very good tackle win ratio. I'm actually finding it quite hard to find a weakness. So now, of course, if it's your favourite part of the video, that is going to be the tactic breakdown. If you are enjoying back home, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. And if you want to get access to all three of these tactics, you want them on console, you want them on mobile, you want my rebuild files over on my second channel, you want the rebuild tactic files, you want everything early, you want priority in the tactic and the rebuild requests, you want access to the monthly giveaway, which previous month was a lot of money split over 5 people. You can come over and join the Patreon where you can be part of a crew of 4,670 people. We're getting towards 5,000 people. If you're not there, you're missing out. Be sure to go over and say hello. Let's go over though and talk through this tactic. So it's going to be based off a 4-1-1-4, but before we talk about that, of course, tactical style, that is going to be the tiki-taka, and we are going to load in any formation for now because we are going to talk about it. The mentality is going to go up to attacking, just to clarify that very, very quickly. Now, to start things off with the goalkeeper, it is going to be a sweeper keeper on defend. Now, again, I'm not going to waste your time today. I rarely add instructions to goalkeepers unless it represents a manager's sort of tactical style, because I don't really feel like it's needed, because usually, especially in this match engine, they come out, they make mistakes, you can't really get away with it, so why even bother? Now, going over to the wing-backs, we are going to go with a wing-back, and they are going to be both set to attack. Again, in this system, although we have got wide players, they are going to be actually quite narrow, so these wing-backs do play a really big part in actually getting this tactic to work, so make sure you've got them in your team. They are both going to be on run wide, we are both going to tell them to actually sit narrow, and we are also going to have them on tackle harder. Now, the great thing about this is not only are they going to come out and they are going to make these forward runs, but when you actually see about this tactic and you see how it works, a lot of the work is done through narrow channels, and with the wing-backs doing it also, it works very, very well. All I've done just quickly is applied that to the left-back as well, just to save you some time. They are literally exactly the same. We are then going to go with 2 ball-playing defenders who both are going to have the same set of instructions. They are both going to be set to tackle harder and mark tighter. Again, a very narrow, tight marked back line is very hard to break through, and just you saw by the results how good we were defensively. It was absolutely quality. Now, what we are going to do is quickly just drag back this sort of wing play here so we can get a rough understanding of how this actually shapes up. And as you can see, we are going to go down the left-hand side with an inverted winger on the right. We'll do first because that's what I've got noted down. The inverted winger on the right, and he's going to be set to support, and we are going to have him simply on tackle harder. So again, this is going to be a player who is going to naturally be coming inside with the ball. A lot of the sort of play is done actually through underlapping runs, which you will see in the team instructions on the right and on the left. Very different to usually how we do with the inside forwards coming inside, the wing backs overlapping. We're going to double sort of make underlapping runs. It's going to be very hard to defend against, and that is why we caught a lot of teams off guard. Now on the left hand side, we are going to go with another inverted winger who is going to be set to support, and let me go on to that and add some instructions. We are going to have him on sit narrow and also tackle harder, so a little different to the left hand side. That will make complete sense when you see the midfield roles. Do not worry any second. Now when we go for the box to box, that is going to be on the left hand side, which means obviously when he pushes up, the inverted winger is naturally going to sort of fill that void. So on the box to box, we are going to have some instructions that is going to be on get further forwards, move into the channels, and of course tackle harder. Now on the right hand side, we are going to actually opt for a deep line playmaker who is going to be set on to defend when we can find it. There we go. And we are going to add one instruction. That instruction is going to be simply tackle harder. Now going up to the pitch, a very complicated role and a lot of instructions, so bear with me please. The attacking midfield player is going to be on attack, and we are going to have him on quite a few things, so let's talk him through. We are going to have him on take more risks, we're going to have him set to cross more, dribble more, we're going to have him also set to moving into the channels, and also tackle harder. So a lot of instructions for a player that does a lot in this tactic, so make sure you have got these instructions on, because he is going to do so much for the team I can't really even put it into words. And lastly, the advanced forward, we are simply going to have him set to tackle harder. So it's a unique shape, a very unique way of playing football, focus on underlap and runs, but it worked really well. Let's go over to the team instructions. Again, we are going to go on attacking, and of course, we are going to go to the tiki-taka style. We are going to opt to have this set to fairly narrow. We are also going to pass into the space, the underlapping runs as discussed, while focusing down the left and the right-hand side of the field. This is a lethal combo in this game. We're going to go down to shorter with the directness. The tempo is going to be maxed out to actually higher. We're going to run at defense, and we are also going to keep mixed crosses selected for this tactic. In transition, you might be wondering, Josh, what's going on? We are going to counter press and counter, as we talked about in the sort of results section of the video. We're going to take short goal kicks, and we are also going to aim to distribute the ball quickly. And lastly, out of possession, we are going to deploy the higher defensive line with the high pressing line of engagement. We're going to step up more, get stuck in, prevent short goalkeeper distribution, and the trigger press set to much more often. Over to the attack and tactic, and yes, we have somehow managed to make it even more attacking. We are going to use the same goalkeeper, the same back line in terms of the centre backs. The wing backs also are going to remain exactly the same to save you a little bit of time. The inverted winger on the right is now going to be on attack, on take more risks, roam, stay wider, and also tackle harder. And on the left hand side, very similar but a little bit different. That is going to be take more risks, roam, sit narrow, and tackle harder. We are then going to introduce a central midfield player on attack who is going to push very, very far forwards. Again, which is why this player is going to come inside and fill that void. On roam, move into the channels and tackle harder. The box-to-box on support on the right now, get forwards, move into the channels and tackle harder. The attacking midfield player remains exactly the same, as does the unchanged advance forward. So again, attacking tiki-taka. We are going to go down to fairly narrow. We're going to pass the ball into the space. We're going to underlap left and underlap right, while focusing down the left and the right as always. This remains exactly the same, so shorter and a higher tempo. This remains exactly the same as well with mixed crosses. This time though, not only run at defence, but of course, we're going for goals, so be more expressive. And lastly, in transition, we are going to keep it literally exactly the same, so not going to waste an ounce of your time because that'd be pretty disrespectful. And lastly, we are going to go to the much higher defensive line with the high pressing line of engagement, step up more being applied, get stuck in, prevent short goalkeeper distribution, and of course much more often. Now to the much needed and actually required defensive tactic. But to defend those games out, I've essentially formed a back 8. I really have done a good job on this. The goalkeeper remains the same. Both of the ball playing defenders also remain unchanged. The wing back on the right and on the left, they get changed. Still both wingbacks, but now on defend, on sit narrow, tackle harder, and also mark tighter. Again, this back line, all now going to be marking tight. It's going to be very, very frustrating to get past. The winger on the left and on the right are both now inverted wingers, both exactly the same. Hold position, tackle harder, mark tighter, mark tighten again. A ball with midfield player comes in, simply on pass it shorter on defend. Again, simply to win the ball back. A box-to-box remains in the team because I still want someone to go forward and contribute alongside of the AM and the AF, and he is simply going to be on tackle harder. The attacking midfield player remains in the team but drops back from attack to support on pass it shorter, cross less often, shoot less often, move into the channels, and of course tackle harder. And the advance forward, to be fair, remains unchanged. We still need a bagsman. Again, tiki-taka, this time balanced. Tiki-taka, balance. So away from the attacking, a much more, well, balanced approach. Standard in the attack and width. We're going to pass into the space. We are going to max out the directness. We are taking a real direct approach to the game now. Slightly lower tempo with a maxed out time wasting. Really, really frequently doing that. If you've got my set pieces, play for them because that will get you goals anyway. And we're also going to simply have run at defense selected. Now, as we go on to in transition, it's going to be a little bit different. We are actually going to regroup, which means you're going to have the back line, but then that 4 in front of them also getting back. That's the main talking point. Obviously, everyone is going to come back, but that 4 in front of them comes back and defends in a back 8. It is so hard to actually get past. It is really, really fun to watch. We're going to counter, we're going to slow the pace down and play to anyone across the back line while rolling the ball out to eliminate any risks, and also no one's attacking, so they're all going to be very close to the goal. It'll be very hard to actually make a mistake. And lastly, out of possession, we are going to go with standard with the mid block selected. We're going to stay on our feet. We're going to going to drop off more and leave this in the middle. So a very, very, very frustrating, almost like a 4-4-2, to be honest, in terms of defending, apart from this sort of 1-1 vibe up top. But that is going to give you 3 variants: a defensive variant, an attacking variant, and of course, the basic variant. Now, I do want to quickly say, I go into majority of the games with the default, and I switch to attacking when I need a goal, defensive when you're trying to obviously not concede a goal, you're trying to seal out a game. I use all 3 tactics in the tactic testing, and I use a mixture of simulation and playing, depending on how big the games are. Just to clarify that up. If you have enjoyed today, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. If you want to show any love back to the channel and allow me to carry on making these videos for you, you can go over and check out the Patreon, where you can join over 4,600 people and get access to over 13 exclusive perks. Even if you don't like FM, you can win some pretty big cash prizes, football tickets, the whole shebang over there. You put me in a great position to give back, so that's what I like to do. But enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one.